Okay guys, in the kitchen with Miss Monica, and today I'm going to show you guys how to prepare Southern style turnip greens. So I cook my turnip greens with fresh pigtail. Okay, so as you see, I have 2 packs of fresh pigtails. And what I'm going to do with my fresh pigtails is I'm going to start off washing my fresh pigtails. Some people use vinegar and some people use a little bit of lemon, squeeze a lemon on them. But I just wash my pigtails off. And I make sure I get off the excess fat on the pigtails. They already have a lot of fat, so I just make sure like everything is clean, my area is clean, my hands are clean, and everything is clean. And I just give them a good washing. I wash them with cold water. Okay. Look at them, I wash them. And so what I'm going to do is wash them off, take out excess fat. Put them on my cutting board. Okay, this is going to be my first video, so I would like for you all to hit the notification bell, like, share, and subscribe. Alright, so there you have it, and I wash them off. Now what I do, how I start off cooking them is, I cook my meat a lot of times. For example, if I have collards or what have you, I might cook my meat in the crock pot. And generally I put my meat overnight in the crock pot overnight. So you really don't have to worry about it because it's slow cooking overnight. Now even though I cook the meat at night, I don't actually cook the greens. Excuse me, in the crock pot. I don't usually cook the greens themselves in a crock pot. I cook my greens in a regular standard boiler. So I go ahead and put some water in here. And basically I'll fill it up enough to cover. I want to cover the pigtails. You want to cover your meat up. And you don't need a lot of water with turnips because turnips make their own water. So just enough to cover your meat up. And go ahead and put it on in the crock pot. And generally I'll cut up 1 onion. So I'm going to get the onion. Don't worry, I didn't go anywhere. I just went to get the onion. So I got my 1 onion. What I do, if I had the meat on here, give it a wash. Wash my cutting board off. Some hot water. Alright. And I'll take my onion. And I just cut up 1 onion. And I make a mess when I cook. It's called a loneliness mess. But I clean up as I go. I just need 1 onion. And that's all. I cut the onion up in quarters. in. And then I'll get, again, I get the crock pot. And I just basically cut the onion up. I'm left-handed, so it's going to be a little backwards. So, I basically take the onion, and it looks a little dry, but just kind of cut it up over the meat. Okay? Just put it in there like that. And we're just going to let it cook like that. And if you cook it in the crock pot, it's going to need 6 or 7 hours, basically overnight. I didn't put them on last night, so I'm cooking them in the daytime. Now, I'll get the onion out of the sink and put it in the trash. Okay. Now, so what I'm going to be doing today is, these are fresh turnips. Well, I bought them yesterday at the grocery store, so I gotta go ahead and cook them before they wither. Okay, so generally what you need to do with your turnip greens, I wasn't able to find them with the roots on them. So what I do is I just get them and I buy the roots separately, and I still cook them together. But sometimes when I go to the grocery store nowadays, I don't really see the turnip roots attached to the turnip, so I buy them separately. And so I'm just going to give you a quick little tutorial on how I clean turnips. Basically, I get the turnip leaf and I have to look at it, and I'm looking at it for bugs or anything that's on the back of the leaf. I also look at the front. And basically what I do is I take the green part away from the stem. And that's it. And then I'll just put them in the sink and I'll wash them. So basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at them and I'm making sure they're clean. And then I take the stem away from the leaf. And I do that to all of the greens until I have them all what we pick them in the South. So I'm going to pick all the greens and then I'm going to wash the greens. And another thing about turnips, I don't cut my turnips up. Some people cut turnip greens up. I don't cut my turnips up. They kind of shrink when you're cooking them, if you will. So I don't cut them up. Now, sometimes when I can't find fresh turnips, I'll buy turnips in a bag. And the turnips in the bag are already cut up. But if I can find fresh turnips, then I don't worry about cutting them up. So we're going to pause the video here while I take the time. It's going to take me about an hour to pick the turnips and also to wash them. And then we'll be back. Okay guys, so yeah. So when I paused the video, I told you guys that I was going to pick the greens, the turnip greens, and I was going to wash them. So I decided to kind of show some viewers that may not be familiar with washing greens. I could have somebody young just starting out cooking. They may want to cook some greens for themselves, their husband, their boyfriend, and they may not really know how to cook a wash green. So the way that I wash my greens, I've already picked my turnips. I have my sink area clean, and so what I do is I have a pan here. And in my pan, I went ahead and put the turnips in there that I already picked. And so I filled the pan up with water. And then what I do is I sprinkle salt on it. And the reason that I sprinkle salt on it, because I use salt it helps lift some of the dirt off of the sand, off of the turnip and dirt. And so that's why I use salt, and I let it just sit there for a while. And then after I let it sit for a certain amount of time, generally at least 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'll start washing the turnips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly show you how I start washing my turnips. And what I do is I generally wash them about 6 times in the pan, And what I do is at the end of each time I wash them, I feel the bottom of the pan for grit. So as long as I feel grit at the bottom of the pan, I continue to wash my turnips. Sometimes turnips are a little bit gritty, more so than collard greens. So what I do is I just take my turnips in, you know, they're in the water. And what I do is I just kind of swish them around in the water. And I just put them in the other part of the sink. And like I said, I do this about 6 times. And I'm kind of rushing through this first time because I want to show you like how the bottom of the pan, if it has any kind of grit in it. You know, like I said, after you wash them about 6 times, you know, it shouldn't have any more grit at the bottom of the pan. So this is like my first time. This is my first time washing them. Okay. And when I pick them, like I told you before, I kind of pull them away from the stems. But I did want to add some of the real small young turnip leaves. I might keep a little of the stems because they have nutrients in them. So some of the smaller leaves, I might keep the stems. So I just wanted to add that. Alright, so I just wanted to show you the water. So the water, see here, and if I feel in the bottom of it, I could feel grit. So since I feel grit at the bottom, well, quite naturally, that's the first time. But you just continue to clean the pan out. And you're just going to keep on with the rotation and wash them over and over until there's no more grit. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause here and I'm going to continue to finish washing the greens. And so when you see me again, we'll be ready to put them in the pot. Alright guys, so in the kitchen with Miss Monica again, southern style turnip greens. Alright, so I left off where I was beginning to wash the greens. So I have already washed all of the turnips and I have drained them. Okay, and so I also told you that I didn't buy the turnip roots, so I went to the store and I got turnip roots, and I have started cutting them up. I have a extra root right here that I didn't cut up for those of you, maybe some young people don't know what they look like or whatever. So this is what they look like. They look like rutabagas. So I have one more to cut up. I cut this one up real quick. And like I said, I'm a lefty, so it may look a little backwards, but I got it. And I already washed it off, already cleaned up everything, as you can see. So everything is clean. And the turnip, the fresh pigtails, I cooked them in the crock pot for about 6 hours. I think I started around 12, but it's best to do it at night. So it's best to go ahead and cook your meat at night if you're cooking it in the crock pot. Okay, so be careful with your knife, and I just kind of cut it up a little bigger than potato salad. Some people like theirs small, some people like theirs larger, but yeah, it's to your own discretion how you like them. Okay, so here we have it right here. They're all ready to go. Now, so we have our pot on the stove, and I told you that what we're going to be doing is we're going to change pots. So we're going to transfer. Okay, so we're going to transfer. So what I'm going to do is, here is the crock pot, and if you look at the contents right here, These are the pigtails. These are fresh pigtails, and here's the broth. And it smells delicious. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually take the fresh pigtails out. And as you see, I got the onion in there, and it's kind of almost falling off the bone. Some of you may not like onions or might be allergic, so you know you just can't use the onions when you boil your meat. Okay, so yeah, we don't want to cook them anymore. They done. And they smell so good. Alright. Now, this is a little secret that I use. A lot of people, when they cook, they might use cooking sherry or something like that. Some kind of wine or something in their food. But I have a little secret too. And for copyright reasons, I'm not going to actually show it on TV. But it's a little, lends itself to cooking sherry. Alright, and I put it mostly in my food, a lot of my food, and it just gives it extra flavor. Alright, so now I'm going to, here's my pot right here on the stove, and I'm just going to take the broth and I'm going to just transfer it in the pot on the stove. And like I said, for turnips, you really don't need a lot. Because turnips, they basically, they're going to make the, they retain water. Even though I drained them, they still retain water. Okay? So there's that. And so we're going to turn that on to boil. Alright, so one thing I forgot about earlier is I usually put a little hot pepper in my broth. So I had a little piece left from where I cooked the black eyed peas yesterday. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of the hot pepper in the broth. Not much. It doesn't really make it spicy. It just like adds to the seasoning, and it adds to the flavor. Alright. One more thing I'm going to add. Right here, this is like fried fatback. And again, this is a style if you're cooking with pork. Now, you don't have to cook your turnips with pork. You can cook them with smoked turkey. But sometimes I fry a little fat back down, and I might add the fried fat back down to the turnips a little bit. And so we just put a little bit of that in there. And it's just, again, it's just for flavor. So I'm just going to put a couple of them in there for flavor. It's all just for flavor. And so when I fried the fat back down, in this cup, it's just a little bit of the fried grease that it makes, and it adds to the flavor. So I just dump it in here, and then we're gonna bring that to a boil. This is the salt water that comes off the top when you fry the fat back down after you wash it off, and sometimes you can use it for flavoring as well. I don't know if I need to use it or not, but I just have it on standby. So what we're doing now is we're just waiting for it to come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, we're just going to take our turnips that have already been washed and pretty much drained. And I usually put mine in this strainer, colander, whatever you want to call it. And when it starts to boil, we're just going to add the turnips. We're going to add them slowly, you know, as it boils. As it continues to boil, we're going to add more. Once we get all the turnips in, we're going to let them cook for a while, and then we're going to add the roots. Okay? Alright. So, we're going to pause here. And once I get all the turnips in the pot, we'll continue. So I have all the turnips in the pot now. So they're all in the pot. And so we're going to put a little seasoning in there. So I don't really like to put a lot of salt in my turnips because, like I said, with I frying the fat bag, using that broth off of there and things like that. So I don't like to use a lot of salt in my greens of any kind. So I do have this right here. This is green seasoning. So I use a little green seasoning. Put a little green seasoning in my greens. It's green seasoning. Then Goya. I put a little bit of this Goya. I really just started using Goya. I don't use that much. Just a little. And then I put just a little accent. Not much. I use this sparingly. And yeah, so that's it for now. Yeah, the turnips in the pot there. It looked like I had a whole bunch of turnips, but they done boiled down. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm not gonna put the roots in right now. I'm just gonna turn them down, right? And I'm gonna put the top on them. And then in a little while, I'm going to come back and I add the roots. Because sometimes you don't want to put the roots in there too early because you don't want to overcook the roots, okay? So, yeah. So, I'm going to wait before I put my turnip roots in there. And I'll check back with y'all when I add the roots. Okay, guys. So, let's get back into it. So, we got the turnips cooking. They've been cooking about, I guess, about 30 minutes. And I'm turning them down now. Yeah, because I had them up high. So what I'm doing, as you see, I told you how they shrink down. And like they smell good. And if you see them, they look good. Alright. Sometimes I might add a little sugar to my turnips, but I kind of wait and I taste them first. And if I taste them and they need a little sugar, then I add a little sugar to them. So that's optional. A lot of people like to add sugar to their greens. Now, when I cook collard greens, I generally add baking soda. But sometimes I don't add baking soda to my turnips because it makes them a little bit too tender. And I like the little tension on the turnip greens. So I don't want them too tender. Alright, so at this time, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and add my turnip roots. Got my turnip roots in the pot. And so what I'm going to do, I told you I don't cook with a lot of salt, but I put a little salt on the root. Not much. And then I put just a tad of accent on the root, on the turnip root. Not much. And then I put a little black pepper on them. Black pepper. Now hum a little bit, because all that goes into it. And a little Goya adobo. So like here. Not much. If you want, you can add some cooking cherry. I already put a little bit in there. I'm not gonna put any more. So, like that. Alright. There it is. So I'm going to put the top back on it. And they should, I got 7:06 by my clock. I'm putting them in there. They should be done from 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to let them cook a little bit more. I got them turned down low, not low. I got them on about 4. So they're going to just cook kind of low for another hour, and I'll come back in here and I'll be checking on them periodically, and that's all. And once they get done, what I do is I put the pigtails, the smoked pigtails, back in the pot. I put them in the pot, but I will come back in here later and I'm gonna taste them. And when I taste them, I'm gonna see if I need to put a little sugar in there, because I might need to add a little sugar. So I'm gonna come back in a little while. I'm gonna taste them, see if I need to put sugar. If I need sugar, I'm gonna add a little sugar to my taste, and then I add my pigtails, and then my turnip greens will be done. Alright guys, so the turnips have been cooking for about an hour, and I went ahead and I added the fresh pigtails. Remember when we used the crock pot and we cooked the fresh pigtails in there for the broth, okay? Then we changed the broth, we put it in a regular size pot or boiler, and this is where we cook the turnips. So they've been cooking over an hour. I finally went ahead and added the fresh pigtails, the cooked fresh pigtails, and I just wanted y'all to take a closer look at them. Yeah, so they're done, and our final project is finished for today, and I just wanted y'all to see them. And so we're going to make some cornbread muffins for Sunday dinner. So we're going to end up having turnip greens, cornbread muffins. We're going to have the black eyed peas that I already cooked, which I didn't make a video on them. I'll make a video next time. And we're going to have fried chicken. So that's going to be Miss Monica's Sunday dinner for this Sunday. And again, this is my first video. I thank you guys for watching. I ask that y'all continue to watch, as I'm going to be posting more and more videos. Soul food from the South, Georgia style. Bye bye. See you next time.